Greetings, beautiful people. So, public announcement just to let you know my born day is in 3 days, right? This is my season, Aries season. My birthday will be this Sunday, April 10th. Pretty exciting every time that special day of the year comes around. You know, the only real holiday for me, right? But anyway, here's the thing. I was listening to a couple of different pieces of information as far as like non-duality goes. They're very centered and focused around really nothing. You know, there's nothing exists, nothing matters, everything's pointless and meaningless and whatnot. I feel like, yeah, that's a really very, very good step in the right direction, because now you have a clean slate to create whatever it is you want in this reality. You know, and I've already gone through this where I've been into the nothing matters, everything is just pointless, and I just felt like a leaf just floating aimlessly in the wind with no direction and just no purpose. You get what I'm saying? I'm already here. I can feel it. I mean, there's nothing going on, right? There's nothing, yet there's still something we're experiencing. So that's the beauty of being in a clean slate. We dropped all the programs. We know, you know, who the man behind the curtain is. So we can now use this to our advantage. Create and manipulate this reality to your advantage or your detriment. It's up to you, whatever you want. I mean, there has to be a balance on this planet. So I'm going to talk about the alpha and beta part again real quickly. And the reason I'm going to talk about this again is because it's energy. You know, energy, the energy that you emit. See, a lot of the times, even when you watch UFC and you have certain fighters and they're trash talking to each other and they're at the face-off, let's say, and it was an intense, heated face-off, you know, one opponent will always say, yeah, keep that same energy, bring that same energy into the octagon, bring that same energy. It was like an aura that was emitted, but they were trying to out-alpha each other, you know. They were trying to do that. Who's the real alpha though? You know, it's only going to be answered once, you know, the cage is closed and we see whose mindset could have been infiltrated. I believe this whole concept of alpha has a lot to do with confidence. The level of confidence is something that's always attacked in man nowadays because of the inorganic system we're in, which is the illusory bullshit of status and the physical manifestation of energy, which is really the real nothing. You get what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's everything here that we use as a major source of currency for us to buy and just basically get around and enjoy ourselves. A lot of the people who are online, you know, run on donations or Patreon. I mean, you got OnlyFans. I mean, all these little things all require monetary gain, right? Now, the field that I'm getting into, of course, is going to require me to charge people monetary gains, but I'm also going to make sure you know this here publicly, that, you know, every one of us has specific set of skills in certain areas. So if there's something that I can give you a service on my end and something that you have to offer a service from your end that I can benefit from, then we can do an even exchange. You get what I'm saying? Meaning whatever you do, I will take your services and I will give you mine, and we just pretty much had an even exchange without it involving any kind of monetary exchange. You get what I'm saying? But if you don't have anything like that to offer, or if whatever you offer me is not something that I can use at that moment, not to say that it doesn't matter or it doesn't, you know, there's no value to it, because I'm sure there is. It's just that it may not be of value to me at that moment. Then of course I'm gonna be charging money, because I mean, I love money, you know. I love money because I am money, you know. Everything that I am existing amongst here, I am, okay? So I will let you know I am also the world's greatest coach. I am like the Trevor Whitman of the UFC. You get what I'm saying? Now, speaking of UFC fighters, I was talking about energy and whatnot. You see these fighters, the confidence level, are they starting to doubt themselves, you know? And when they doubt themselves, they start to have mental pictures of defeat in their mind, and they're more or less likely to be outperformed when the physical, way of showing yourself and expressing yourself comes out, okay? Which is why the mental state, the mentality is very sharp. But see, these complex mental faculties that we have as man is what separates us from the animal kingdom. So I don't like to compare man to animals and, how alpha males and this and that in the wild and whatnot. Because men, first of all, whatever energy you think you have is mostly depleted by shit that you're not even meant to be using the energy on, like working long ass hours, eating the type of foods like peasant food. To be honest with you, a lot of people think they're eating really good food, but they're really eating peasant food, because real food of the gods is foods that come from nature that you can grow, where the real true abundance is. You get what I'm saying? Where this is something that if you compare the green from nature to the green of money, this is real wealth here, because this is real health that you're introducing into the body. But aside from that, it's information, it's chemistry, it's information. Everything that you put into your body is information. And if it's corrupt information, it can mentally distort you. The same way if you're listening to information, you say, I'm consuming something, I'm watching a video, you're consuming information. And a lot of people don't even like this because they like to be in victim mode. That's the funny part. They may not know this, but they like to be in victim mode. That's why sometimes when you hear certain empowering messages, it may make you feel like, no, that's not possible, because you kind of subconsciously, you program to be in victim mode. You get what I'm saying? You like the victim mentality. And it's kind of like when I spoke on, going through a spiritual journey, you start to watch, conspiracy theories or spiritual videos. If you were always in a victim mentality, now you're going to a victim mentality toward life in general. And being in a victim mentality keeps you in a very low frequency. And this frequency actually has your life, be very hard for you, because you're perceiving things in a certain way. And it's basically how you're looking at things that really change and mold your reality, but when it comes to the alpha and beta male thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of times where we start to talk about, let's say you're trying to accomplish something, you have a certain hunger for something, but when you accomplish it, you know what I'm saying, are you still hungry? I'll give you the example of like what people would consider like Conor McGregor, right? He was a real hungry upcoming fighter. He was, literally plowing through everybody and some of the toughest competition, to now he's not winning fights anymore. And then people start to ask, well, is it because he's already made so much money that it changed him? Because see, power can change you as well, and it can change you in a sense where it takes that hunger away. So you're no longer that alpha performing male in the octagon. But does it mean that you're mentally defeated, or does it mean that you're not hungry? So this is another form of how you express yourself in this physical reality. How bad do you really want something? How bad do you want it? And I feel like when you want it so bad, you'll become that singularity of focus will be there but yet you still have the capacity to be aware of your surroundings, to know what is actually distracting you. So if you want more information on that, watch my video on distractions and do they really affect you? Because I believe the power in the power of the singularity, the singular focus. But I feel like this is attacked the most because, let's say if you're pushed fear-mongering or distorted, information in the media, then you'll be focused on that negative aspect of things, but you won't be aware of the positives around you. You hear what I'm saying? And I even see this in simple things that people do every day. Like if you go into a store or a restaurant and somebody's really nice to you, you won't be so quick to point those things out. Oh, that person was really nice, I had a great experience. But if the person was nasty to you and said some bullshit to you and treated you a certain way, you'll come out talking about it really harshly and even putting a lot of emotions toward it. You get what I'm saying? But then we're quick to amplify and point out these negative little things, but not the positive things that people do in life. You get what I'm saying? So start to pay attention to those things that you do in your life. Are you paying more attention to the negative things and not really paying attention to the positive things? And it just has a lot to do with how you're walking around to begin with. A lot of people start to blame these people. They were such an asshole. But a lot of those people are basically mirrors of you. They're amplified more within you because of what you are actually walking around with in your internal environment. Sometimes when you see these things, like I said, these could be blessings in disguise, because you can actually say, wow, you can sit back and reflect, and you will actually start to find out within yourself that you are actually going through some fucked up energy and some fucked up mentality. Now, I went through a 3-day fruit fast. Literally just finished it up yesterday. But I also noticed that before that, I was in a real warlike mentality. You get what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you right now, it made a huge difference on my level of calmness, just my clarity of thinking, and being able to spot and pinpoint the bullshit in my life a little bit more. And not to say that food is making any type of miracles happen in my life, because that's not how it is, but it did serve as a tool for me to clear out the distorted filters that I've been fucking operating with in the form of toxins, which is inflammatory. And then you have inflammatory thoughts and inflammatory responses. Like they manifest in physicality and as a form of arthritis, but these moods and anger outbursts, or these things that you may outburst on, these are inflammatory actions. Okay? So, where was I going with that? Okay, so yeah, let's go with the, let's say for example, the MMA fighter, right? They're mentally conditioning themselves along with physical conditioning. So when you're physically conditioned, you can endure more, you have longer stamina, more energy, more cardio, right? What's funny is that in the process of physically conditioning yourself, you're exerting a lot of energy, but yet you're able to have more energy in the performance side of things, right? So do you notice how we are exerting and using energy, yet it's favoring us in a sense where we are getting more energy out of it? You get what I'm saying? Sometimes when you're lazy, you think you're saving energy, but you're not saving energy. You're actually weakening yourself up. Sometimes getting up and moving your ass and taking action to what you already know is actually where you're going to start to build on the stamina, because it's also building that confidence. It's building your mental capacity, your ability to do things, the experiences. These are your experiments. And then this is where you start to have a more favorable outcome in your life. You get what I'm saying? So let's say, for example, look at how everything here in this society, everything's pushed. It's more lust. You get what I'm saying? Instead of love is more lust. Even with partners that we have, it's lust in that aspect. So we got with our partner more on lust. We only focused on the physical side of things, never really focused on the person for who they are. And most of the time we get with certain people because they look so good. And then when we get to know them really well and you see how they actually are, they don't look that attractive anymore. You get what I'm saying? Because you were blinded by the physicality, but didn't realize that they had a lot of ugly in them, which, because you were blind to it. Because this takes another type of perception. This takes another type of sight, another type of eye. You get what I'm saying? So you look beyond these eyes, what the physicality of these things are. Sometimes it looks so beautiful, yet there's so much corruption within it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always tell people, like, when you start to point out, even in the pathway, you start to look at the conspiracies and you start to run into all this, because, you're something within you is waking up. So you're like a baby now, absorbing all this information. But keep in mind that the moment you start to pinpoint the corruption in the systems, look at this as to not put yourself in victim mode, but to realize that now you're starting to pinpoint the corruptions within you first, because that's why you're aware now of these systems outside of you being corrupt. Is because you have corruption within you and how you're operating in your day-to-day life that you may think you're doing good in. Certain things you may be doing, you probably think you're doing something good, but it's actually something that's not serving anybody around you, but it's what you think you're doing that's good because it works. And not everything that works necessarily means that it's favorable. Like, everything's allowed here in this physical realm, but it doesn't mean that everything is favorable. You get what I'm saying? So when you watch porn, for example, right, you're putting some laser focus attention. This is possibly one of the strongest channels of energy that you're putting out, is when you're laser focused on it, because your interest is straight up on it. You get what I'm saying? You're consuming this. And on top of that, what's happening is that now when you ejaculate or you let your essence out, this is a type of energy. Why do you think certain men sometimes when they're done watching porn and they're done jacking off, they don't feel too confident afterwards. They feel kind of down and whatnot. But again, does it come down to this level of hunger that we can compare, like the Conor McGregor, where you want something, but you got already what you wanted, and now you're living a certain way, like you want to party, you're gonna drink, you may get into trouble because this power changed you. You weren't so focused on your training. Now you started to hang outside, you started to meet the wrong crowd, your mentality changed, so now you start to get into trouble, like what happened with like guys like John Jones. And all this happens after their success. It never really happened before that, right? Conor McGregor, Masvidal. You get what I'm saying? All these people started to get into trouble after they gained this power. Sometimes people gain power and it changes them. You can watch that with YouTube videos. Like certain YouTubers, they started out a certain way, humble and even with the right mentality. Their channel was started with the intent to help humanity to some extent, right? But then they gained this popularity and this power, and then they changed. And now all of a sudden they're facing a bunch of backlash from people online, or they may have, you know, gotten their channels taken down, whatever it may be. You get what I'm saying? But stay true to who you are from the moment that you start. Like authenticity, very, very important, because when you're authentic, you know, this is actually good. Vulnerability. But the thing about vulnerability, it's not, I mean, there's got to be balance between that too. You know what I'm saying? In order for, you know, let's say I watched a Ralph Smart video. I don't watch too many of his videos because it's pretty much saying the same thing, but I happened to watch that one where he titled it how to look more attractive or some shit like that, and one of the things was also authenticity and being vulnerable and putting yourself out there and whatnot. But there's also a level of sexiness to being mysterious at the same time. You get what I'm saying? Because there's also something that says that, you know, actions speak louder than words. You may be the type that talks less, or, you know, just that mysterious aspect of you, but it's starting off by what energy you emit to begin with. You get what I'm saying? Somebody who goes into a room may not have to say anything, but they stand out amongst the crowd, and not just be, well, the physical, yeah, is a very important thing, but aside from that, is just there's something about that person that stands out. You get what I'm saying? Their demeanor and how they move themselves, how they carry themselves. You know, that's the confidence, how you carry your vessel. You know, a lot of this has to do with you basically being able to utilize energy to your benefit, to your advantage in this physical realm. If you look at this as a big body, and you know, everything that you're interacting with outside is blood cells, how is the chemistry within your body? People talk about autoimmune diseases. These things don't exist. It's not like something attacks something for no reason. You get what I'm saying? But people attack others for a specific reason, right? But then that may be a mirror of themselves. So let's say, for example, if I'm here and I am operating my vessel in a way where I have this chemistry harmonized within me, but I'm consciously making sure that these things are working for me. My organs and my blood, everything is working for me. This is basically how you're going to start to look outside of you. Everything starts to work out for you because you start to find balanced relationships. People are going to want to be there and interact with you and help you. That's more of a person when, you know, when they're not approachable because of, you know, they may look angry and whatnot. They may look like, you know, intimidating. And this is basically, it comes down to somebody looking by what they carry. Some people say, I carry my heart in my sleeve, you know, and this is, they don't have to say nothing. They just show it, you know, and then some people can actually notice that, you know. So here's also another very important thing I wanted to cover, and it's basically the fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say, man. Oh yeah, here it is. So when I'm talking about healing in a couple of my videos, like, healing doesn't necessarily mean that you heal because you're sick. It doesn't necessarily mean sick. Like, your body has this ability to do this, but you could be watching porn and you jack off, and then the moment that you're done, your dick is going through the healing process. You know what I'm saying? Like, your dick is healing. Your energy is actually restoring. You know what I'm saying? But can you? It's very important to be able to balance out. Let's say the overactive energy centers and the underactive energy centers, but being aware of the underactive energy centers. And there's something that I made in one of my chakra videos, and I'm going to link it in this description because it was a good video where I explained the color combinations. Like, for example, you have your red, which is your root. The next one up is orange, but the one above is yellow. But when you have the color red and yellow, that's how you make that in the middle color orange. Same thing, working your way up. Now you got that yellow, Then you have green, and then you have blue. But you combine blue and yellow, and that's what makes the color green. You get what I'm saying? So you see how these color combinations, and the same thing works coming on the way up, purple, indigo, you know what I'm saying? And then you have the white or the black, you know what I'm saying? And then you combine those colors is what makes that indigo, magenta type of color, because you only get those in true red and true blue colors, right? That color magenta. But you have this center, which can work with even the lower centers. So it's basically about, you could play with these colors in your mind. You know what I'm saying? You could even meditate to certain frequencies that actually help you a combination of these colors as well. But your imagination is key here. And your imagination is something that you should really value and nurture, because this is exactly how you can actually start. See, everything's going to start from your imagination. And then you put that work into practice. You build your confidence and you build your energy toward manifesting what it is that you actually want. But it starts with a decision. You got to really want something to be able to say, this is where I'm working toward. You have to decide, what do you want? Then what do you want? You start imagining it. You start to live it in your mind. You start to exercise this imagination. You know what I'm saying? Because look at how your imagination is taken away now with the new technology coming out. Nothing wrong with technology. I just feel like it's usually misused technology, or sometimes the technology that comes out is a reflection or a mirror of something. Since you're not using your shit, they make it in an inorganic way. You know what I'm saying? So people don't use their imagination. People don't use their special abilities. So let's put it in a computer form for them to actually be able to utilize it in this way. Let's repackage it and resell it to them. Like medicine, they try to sell you medicine, but it's something that you find in your yard. Well, people don't know about gardening. They don't know about the herbs in their garden. So let's just take it out ourselves. Let's sell them the weed killer. So they spend money on the weed killer, and then what we do is we take it to a laboratory, the weeds, and then we repackage it and isolate it, resell it to them, and then that's it. They can, they're not using it, so let's make a profit out of it, because everything's in the interest of a profit. It's kind of like, if you're not using your mind, it's going to be used for you. Somebody else is going to use your mind, right? So, look at computers, the firewall. How effective are your firewalls? How effective is your antivirus? Viruses only attack weak cells, acidic mediums. So how inflammatory are you? How weak-minded are you? How weak are your cells for them to be invaded by these viruses that are really upgrades, but they actually end up taking over, because since you have no control, then they're going to take control for you. It's how it works in nature. So that's why whenever you see this, like, look at porn. Porn, aside from meta, it started with porn. When you're watching porn, you're imagining yourself having sex with a person that you're looking at on a 2D screen. You know what I'm saying? And then what's happening is that you're conditioning your mind to actually to say, this is the way that we want to experience this experience of ejaculation. Because you see, your body doesn't know the difference between a real or a fake experience. So it's going to basically think it's procreating at that moment. But you consciously watching porn are actually programming your mind and your body to say that this is the way we are programming ourselves to procreate. Which is why your confidence level goes down, and then you may not be able to be attractive to other females. And females are attracted to, again, it's the energy. What kind of aura do you emit? You could be in a fight with somebody, and it could be a small dude, and this small dude will emit such an energy, and just by the roar of his mouth or whatever it may be, it's just because, listen, that's an expression, that's the vibration you're putting out in tones. You get what I'm saying? But aside from that, you emit an energy that it don't matter how big the dude is, he'll start second guessing whether he could beat you or not. You know what I'm saying? Don't matter how big you are. This small person may have such high energy that it'll have the big guy second guessing himself. You could see it. If you want to start talking about shit in the wild, you could see the shit in the wild happening. You see a big ass animal, and then you see a little animal showing some ferocity, like you see these wolverines and shit. You see these animals back the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? You see this shit with cats and dogs. People think dogs and shit. This video is going to cut off, but I'll make other videos if I ever leave anything out. You already know that. I'm going to make another video on iron levels, which is very important. But other than that, we'll